Hello everyone, JammyJet here. Today I'm doing something a bit different. As many of you guys know, I'm very excited for the upcoming Pokemon game, Pokemon X and Y, and to celebrate I thought why not do a list of my top 5 Pokemon from previous games. Again, before we get this list started, I just want to completely throw it out that this is my opinion. So if anyone has problems with my list, let me know what your list is of top 5 Pokemon. I know this list isn't exactly, it's down to opinion. It's not the top 5 best Pokemon, it's my favourite just generally, and that comes down to my personal experience with these Pokemon. And the reason I might not like Pokemon that you like maybe be because I've never used those Pokemon and never really gotten to battle with them. So again, totally opinionated, this list. It's not anything personal, it's just my opinion. Now let's get down to business. Number 5. This may be a weird choice to a lot of people watching this, but I actually really like the Pokemon Hydreigon. And I know I've probably pronounced that horribly, but that's just how I pronounce it, so just throwing it out there. I don't want anyone to just insult the way I pronounce them. I don't watch the TV series, so obviously I don't have any experience knowing how to pronounce them. I usually make up my own way of saying them. First of all, this guy is just awesome. I mean, he's got like heads for hands. How cool is that? I mean, and we learn how cool that is in the latest Mystery Dungeon game, where he actually picks up the protagonist in his hand, mouth thing. The reason I like this guy so much is because, well, not only did 5th generation get a lot of hate, because everyone was like, oh, they didn't let us play with the old Pokemons. But I like what they did. They kind of tried to make it like a new generation. They like started scratch. They were like, okay, so we're not going to keep any of these old guys. We're just going to, you know, this is a separate region where other regions have not, you know, Pokemon from those regions haven't yet reached this region. In the same way that you don't find Generation 5 Pokemon when playing through the Generation 1 game. They tried to make it look like, okay, so as the series has been going on, you've been finding all the Pokemon from the previous generations in the latest games. And, you know, that was kind of a weird thing, so they kind of backversed it there, and I respected them for that. I liked a lot of the designs, although some of them were pretty rubbish, quite literally, if you look at Garbodor. But, this guy, he was awesome. He's dark and dragon. So it's a nice combination. I don't think we've had a dark dragon before, so he's quite a unique type matchup. He does learn some cool moves like Dark Pulse as well as Dragon Pulse, Draco Meteor. He's great for online battles. I think I've used him quite a lot in Pokemon Showdown in the past, so he's really good online battle-wise. A lot of people do use him, so for that reason, he's on my top list. Number 4. Right, Crobat is friggin' awesome. If any of you guys have seen some of my Let's Plays in the past, I've actually used Crobat. Although I haven't really been a fan of Crobat for quite a long time, I've recently become really into the poison type. Like, I even set up my own 6 party of poison types in Black and White 2 by just constantly training them, trying to get them all level 100. Crobat being my favourite within the team, along with Nidoking. So, a really, really favourite Pokemon of mine. I really like his moveset. He can even be taught moves like Giga Drain, which is insane. I'm pretty sure he can also learn Heat Wave too. I mean, he's a bat, and he can flippin' absorb and burn the opponent. What more could you ask for? Number 3. Lucario is flippin' awesome too. I'd start every single number like this, but Lucario is just so awesome. He became, like, he was sort of a representation of Generation 4, Diamond and Pearl, kind of like how Zoroark was for Generation 5. He even got his own place in Smash Bros. Brawl on the Wii. I just hope that another Pokemon like Mewtwo, with his new form, gets a place like this on the new Smash Bros. Coming out on the Wii U and the 3DS. I really like Lucario just because of his unique type match. There's no other Pokemon that are Steel and Fighting as far as I'm aware. He also became famous because of Maylene, the gym leader in Diamond and Pearl, used her as her best Pokemon. I remember really struggling against Maylene. That's maybe because I chose the Grass Slot on my first playthrough. But just having Lucario on your team, I mean, you just feel invincible with this guy. He can learn, obviously, the different punching moves, Fire, Ice, Electric. Yeah, so he's Thunder even. That was poorly done. He is awesome. I really like what they did with the design as well. He's got like spikes coming out of his fists. I mean, it looks painful, but it also looks pretty cool, like kind of Wolverine style. I don't know. So start.
Number 2.
Ha, that means poo. Metagross. Just look at this guy. He's got like an X on his face. Don't even get me started on shiny Metagross. He's awesome to use in battles. Steel and Psychic, it's a really good combination. Although it does make him weak to ground and fire. I'm pretty sure there is only 2 major weaknesses. Dark obviously doesn't do very much damage due to the steel parting, and neither does Ghost. So his Psychic type's pretty good with his Psychic moves. He also learns a lot of good moves Steel type wise, like Meteor Mash. He can learn a lot of cool moves like Earthquake and Hammer Arm. And seriously, I mean, he's just flipping awesome. He's got claws for legs, which gives me the impression he can even climb walls. I really like this guy, and the first time I sort of really met him in a Pokemon game was when Steven used him in Pokemon Emerald. Obviously, he being the old champion from the games, but his team was just one of the most awesome teams compared to, like, I just wish he'd been in the champion in the Elite Four, just because of his awesome power and Steel-type Pokemon. You don't get very many Steel-type gym leaders, to be honest, in Pokemon games, and you should get a lot more, in my opinion. Numero uno. Yep, you guessed it. Numero uno is Charizard. Basically, just because of when I first played through, like, obviously Leaf Green and Fire Red being my first Pokemon games, it's just my favourite. Like, I've always chosen Charmander on my first playthroughs, and I've just sort of never really got rid of that bond. I really love using him in battles. He's great for online battles. Obviously, the 4 times weakness to Stealth Rock does give him a bit of a drawback online battle-wise, but he still learns incredibly powerful moves. His moveset being really good, being part fire and flying, and also learning awesome Dragon-type moves at that, like Dragon Pulse. Obviously, some of them have to be move tutored, but in Black and White 2 they fixed the move tutoring system and made it a lot easier to tutor certain moves which could only be found as egg moves in previous games. Like I said, he is just flipping awesome. He's got one of the best designs out of every single Pokemon in the whole, like, out of almost 700 Pokemon. Literally one of my favourite designs, definitely my favourite personally. Definitely one of the better ones, and obviously that could be just down to my opinion, but let me know what you guys think in the description. What's your favourite Pokemon, and let me know why. I guess I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.